Hi, great, wonderful. Hello, everyone. My name is Kate. I am the International Admissions Coordinator at Truman. And actually, our training is going to be led by our International Admissions Counselor, Gentry. So I'm going to hand it off to her.
Hello, everybody. Good evening where you are. Thank you all for joining us this evening. Um, like Kate said, my name is Gentry. I am the International Admissions Counselor here at Truman. Um, I figured that I would start us off this morning by just going over our application requirements. So I'm just going to go ahead and share my screen for most of the time to go through our application requirements. And then we'll kind of do a run through of our actual application to see what that would look like for the students. Of course, if you have any questions, we'll have plenty of time at the end to answer them, but you can also pop them in the chat and um, I can answer them as we go, or maybe Kate can address them in the chat. So I will go ahead and try to get my screen set up. Sometimes with my dual screen, I fail to make it work. So let me see if I can figure this out. All right, is everyone able to see my Google screen here?
I am.
Okay, great. So we will go over to I have mine saved up here for the admission requirements, but um, so we do have a web page that has all of our admission requirements listed. Um, Starting at the top, they will just want to go ahead and start their application. It has a link to it here, but at the top of our page, it'll always have this home bar, if you will, where they can click the apply button and go to it. And I will show you all of that later. So first it talks about an English proficiency score. We do have a website that has all of our English proficiency scores that we do accept listed. This just kind of gives the more popular examples. IELTS is kind of our baseline. And we also do now accept Duolingo. That is usually a more affordable and easy option for students. So they will have to submit an English proficiency score. We can also accept the SAT, which is really nice because some students will take it, some students don't. It is not a requirement. Submitting official transcripts. We do require them to come directly from the school usually, and we have a verification process on making sure that they are coming from a verified source. So the transcripts that the students submit themselves in the application will not be accepted as official. Um, then we do have something that we use. It's called a certificate of financial support. This is just something that the students will use to show who is sponsoring them while they're here, who's supporting them financially. So if that is mom and dad, they will write their names on there and say how much that they are willing to sponsor them for. Right now, our current total cost of attendance is around 34,000. So we usually ask for that amount to be shown on there. And they will sign it and return it with their supporting bank documents. So they will need submit bank documents for whoever will be supporting them. And that can really be anyone. It can be mom, dad, and uncle. We just need to make sure that we have a certificate of financial support for each sponsor or each bank account that is provided. So if mom and dad's bank account is combined, they can provide one certificate of financial support for that. They can submit as many bank documents as they want, as many sponsors as they want, really, as long as we have a certificate of financial support for each of them, and it totals up to their total cost of attendance. Excuse me. Um, Their passport. They will need to submit a copy of their passport. Just a scanned copy is fine. And there is a section in the application where you can upload each of these things. And additional materials for scholarship consideration. This is where sometimes students will submit awards that they've received, special projects that they've participated in. Essays can go here. And some of our students will also, if they have like an art portfolio, they will sometimes submit it here so that the art department and we can take it into consideration for their admission. Does anyone have any questions about the application requirements here? I don't see any popping up, but if you do tend to think of any, just pop them in the chat. All right, so we're going to go on to the actual application. So I'm going to take it from the home page here. This is where you're at the requirements, you've read it, good, now you want to apply. So you'll just click the application button here. And they will be an international undergraduate student most likely. So you'll click on this box and you will go to the international undergraduate application. So this is where they will choose to either create an account or if they already have one, log in. For your new students, you will probably end up going to first-time users here and clicking create an account. But I have created a fake application of sorts for today. So I already technically have one started. So I'm going to go to the login. And this is what the portal will look like once they've already created their application. So we'll log in. And down here, it'll have all of the applications that they've ever started. So I will click on spring. Okay, so now we are in the application. This is what it'll look like for the students. So they will click what they're applying as a freshman, or if they're transferring in, they can choose what year they are. This is where they will choose their major. Have you ever been enrolled in classes? Just a couple of extra questions. This is going to be biographical information. What's your address? What's your number? What's your birthday, name, preferred name? In this section, this is going to ask, where are you from? Do you have any visas currently? And right here is where you would upload your documents that would have, this would be your passport, for example. Then we'll move on to academics. So here, this is where they're going to add their school. You can click add institution and fill out all of the information for the school. It doesn't have to be super detailed. Sometimes students get confused if they can't find their school. Sometimes if you start to search something in, it will bring up like a list of search options. And sometimes when they can't find their school on there, it can get a little bit confusing. They can just ignore it and put in the name of their school. And then here they will upload a copy of their transcripts, and then we will receive that official copy from the school later. This is where they can say whether they have taken the SAT or ACT, and this tells them that this is the English score that we can accept from each of those. Again, it is not required for them to take the SAT, but if they do get a high enough score, it can impact their scholarship. So sometimes that's good to know. Any leading examinations that they might have taken, A levels or O levels, may be relevant here. This is where they can upload a copy of those leaving exam results. And that's just a little extra question. English proficiency. This is where they're going to upload, if it'll load, okay. Tell us what test did they take, when did they take it, what score did they get, and then they can upload if they've had a screenshot of their score or that official IELTS report that they get. And moving on to enrollment. Having some slow connections this morning. So this is important for you all because this is how we're going to know that the students are coming from you. So right here is where we have a list of our partners, and this is where you guys are going to be listed. It should be in alphabetical order. So I'm not seeing yours on there right now, but I think we're getting it added on, right? We're working on it.
Yes,
So
I'm sorry. I was not able to add Leap GB this morning to our agent list, but I'm going to add that to our application as soon as possible so your students can choose that and make sure that we have those applications tagged as Leap GB applications.
right. So I eventually, as Kate said, your name will be on there, and just to make sure that your students are clicking that so that we know that they're coming from you and we're processing their apps accordingly. Um, so they will check that and they don't have to fill this part out. This is if they've been referred by a counselor. So how did they hear about us? They can, if it came from you or if it came from, one of us, maybe they can fill that part out as well. But they don't have to put their social media handles if they don't have any, but sometimes it's nice to have those when we get closer to arrival day or we need to contact the student if email is not working. Sometimes this can come in handy. Um, so this is the financial support section. So those documents we were talking about earlier. There is a link to the certificate of financial support right here in the upload section. So here they'll upload those bank documents from, mom, dad, uncle, friend, and then they will submit a certificate of financial support. This is what it looks like for them. You can fill it out online, but we do need it to be signed by hand here. So they will need to print it off and have their sponsor sign it and then scan it back into us. And again, we will need one of those for each of the bank documents that they are submitting if they're from different people. And this is where they can upload those certificate of financial supports. And if they ever have trouble uploading any of these, or if they need to upload multiple and it starts to get confusing, you're more than welcome to email us. A student is more than welcome to email us and we can get those uploaded for them. But it's usually pretty easily done here in the portal. So this section is just about family, giving parents information and background information. So super important. Okay, scholarship materials. This is where they can upload their essays, any awards that they've done, maybe an art portfolio, those things that we talked about earlier. They can go ahead and upload as many as they want here, really. Mhm. All right, so this is there is a little disclaimer on our admission requirements pages. Sorry, my words are escaping me today. And it does have a little note about a $100 enrollment deposit. Your students will not be required to pay the $100 enrollment deposit. So this part just is them agreeing to the fact that they know that it's there, and but it will be waived later on for them. So they don't need to freak out at this part. And then you will just click continue, and they will type their name in as a digital signature and click continue again. And this will give them a chance to review any of the information, make sure that they've uploaded everything they need to upload. And they shouldn't be able to submit it if they haven't uploaded something in each of the required fields. So if they don't have, say, a bank document ready at this time, they can wait until they get that bank document submitted, or we'll still see their application. It just hasn't been submitted yet. So they can start it and work on it. And then when they get all those final documents, they can go ahead and click submit, or, you can email us and we can get it figured out. So then you will click submit application. I will not submit this one because this is kind of a working document. So, all right, a lot of information. I am going to go on to my PowerPoint now.
Actually, Gentry, we do have a lot of questions in the
Oh, do
chat,
we?
so
Sorry, I've not
maybe,
been seeing the chat, so
no,
I'm
that's
so sorry if you guys have been
fine.
getting questions.
So the first one is the PTE accepted? Yes.
Yes. Oh, yeah. That was supposed to be part of my little spiel here. This is our English proficiency requirements page. So this has all of our accepted tests on it. Um,
We know PTE is quite popular in India, so that is completely fine. The PTA overall score just needs to be a minimum of 53.
yep, and we can also take their O levels or A level scores as well. And that tends to be another kind of popular one with Indian students. So
And then a question about is like open school or distance education accepted? Um, Generally, yes, we would kind of take this on a case by case basis. We would be interested to know why the student was pursuing distance education, but we would be open to that. We could consider that for sure. And then Pooja has a question. Can we apply for conditional admission without an IELTS score? Yes. Gentry, maybe you want to explain briefly the ESL option?
yeah, so we do have an ESL option here at Truman. It's through a company that we call TLC, but it is the language company. They are contracted with Truman. Their classroom is basically it's on campus. It's in one of our buildings. Um, and the students will also stay in dorms on our campus as well while they are attending the school. It usually takes about a semester for students to complete, but they can complete it faster or slower, just depending on, their English proficiency and how quickly they progress through their levels. They will need a level 9, I believe, to graduate from that. So there is an option down here. So apply conditionally and complete an ESL program. So this will take you to the information about the language company. This gives you a little bit more information about students that are admitted conditionally. So there's different areas of our website that can explain that. But essentially, we will admit the students conditionally. They'll get a letter that says upon completion of level 9 of the language company, then they will get full acceptance from Truman, and this is what their scholarship would be. I think they get their scholarship application or their scholarship offer with that admission letter, right? Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
So, yeah, that is an option if English just isn't super strong, or even if you do have like a 6.0 IELTS, but students just want to work on their English a little bit more, they definitely can still do this before Truman. Um, in any case, they just need to tell us that they're applying conditionally beforehand, and there's a part of the application that they can do that with. So, yeah, totally an option.
Um, okay, and then several questions about financial documents before the offer or the I-20. So our general policy is that we require proof of funding beforehand, but with our agent partners, we are willing to be flexible. If it is going to be an obstacle for your students, or they would prefer to get the offer, the scholarship offer, before submitting proof of funding, we can make that exception for elite GEB students. Um, in that case, we would review their application without the financial documentation. We would issue them something we call a preliminary admission, which basically says, we would love to accept you with a scholarship of $9,000. However, if you want to confirm your offer and receive an I-20, you need to provide proof of funding now. So if your students are interested in that, yes, we can absolutely consider that. All right. Home edition of the TOEFL accepted. That is something I may need to check with my supervisor. Traditionally, we have not accepted the home edition of the TOEFL, but I will make a note to check with our director if that is something that we can pursue. Um, okay. Official score reporting for the English test. It kind of depends. For the IELTS test, we can verify that online without any official reporting from the students, so nothing to worry about there. Same with the PTE. We can also verify that directly with the school or the score code that is on the student score report. Same with Duolingo. There is a link that Gentry and I have access to verify without the student needing to do anything. Um, so with the TOEFL, we will need their official results sent to us because there's not currently a way for school officials to verify them. But for the PTE, the IELTS, and the Duolingo, we can just work with their copy to get those verified. And we do have an enrollment deposit, but for our partner students, that would be waived. So in the application, there is something about a $100 enrollment deposit. There is a notice that a student will not receive their I-20 until the deposit is paid, but we generally waive that for all of our partner students, and that would include LEAP GB students. So your students could disregard that message. As long as your students confirm that they would like to attend Truman, we will issue the I-20 without them paying any type of deposit. Okay, and then a question about the postgraduate applications. So those work a little differently. I would like to emphasize, though, that we are almost entirely an undergraduate institution. We have very, very few master degree programs that are feasible for students that did not graduate with their bachelor's from Truman. Our typical master degree program at Truman is designed to be almost like a transitional program. So for a student that did their bachelor's at Truman, they could continue on to do the master's. The issue is that we have a lot of prerequisites for our master degree programs. So if you did not attend Truman as an undergrad, you are not likely to get admission to the master program. The one exception is that we have an online Masters of Data Science that we are hoping to get on ground by next fall. So this program would not have a lot of prerequisites. This program would be designed to attract students from around the world, but we are still in process of getting it formally approved by our administration to be an on-ground, in-person program. So I imagine a lot of students from India will be interested in this. So we will absolutely keep you up to date once we know for sure if the data science master will become an on-ground master's. But as is, we currently do not have any master degree programs that are really marketable for non-Truman graduates. Generally, our programs, our entire institution is focused on the bachelor undergraduate level. Okay, and then another question about the medium of instruction. Unfortunately, no, we do require some kind of an English test. We won't accept English medium. But like Gentry showed, we do accept pretty much every major English test available. So PTE, Duolingo, IELTS, TOEFL, SAT, any of those are fine. None are any better or any worse. So whatever is most accessible to the student, we can work with. I went through those quite fast. So if you have any follow-up questions, please.
There was a
Oh,
list of
did I miss one?
questions earlier that was there was about 20 or so. I think we've answered most of them, but there are a couple of specific questions that we didn't really hit on. So the first one being the WES, is that what required? And also asking it says 15 years in AACB accepted. Are you able to see that list of questions up there at the top, Kate?
No, I don't see them. I can say though, for WES, we do not require WES evaluations at the undergraduate or postgraduate level. They do not need to get an outside Credential. Oh, okay. I think I missed these.
Yeah, I just resubmitted
All
them
right.
anyway. So I figured you were answering the other questions other than these that we probably missed them. I'm able to see the chat now, so I'm in here. So
So
may
West is not required.
yeah,
We'll answer that one. West is not required.
and then the number 6 question. I'm not sure I fully understand the question about the NAACB.
Um, yeah, I'm sorry, I'm not familiar with what that is either. We have not, I'll be honest, we have not worked a lot with Indian
Catherine,
students.
which question are you talking about? Question number
It's
16.
yeah,
Number
15
6.
years
Yeah.
NAACB
So, do
accepted.
you accept 15 years of education?
Oh,
3 years bachelor's degree, do you accept 3 years
Oh,
bachelor's degree?
yes,
That was
that
the
is
question.
usually fine for the postgraduate programs.
So,
Yes.
okay. So, in case if you accept the 3 years bachelor's degree, will you specifically need NAC A or NAC B is also accepted?
Um, I'm not
It's an
sure. I mean, again, to
accreditation.
be honest, we do not currently have any postgraduate programs that are really going to be a good
Okay,
option for any.
then this question is not applicable
Okay,
because
yeah.
this is a set of question I just forwarded to you.
Okay.
Thank
um,
you.
Yeah, no problem.
thank you. Uh, question number 7, 9th and 11th mark sheets required for undergraduate. So we do require all of their secondary education, my gosh, transcripts. So that would be 9, 10, 11, and then a sort of a leaving exam they might have taken.
So we would place for students that are on the standard curriculum, we would place the greatest weight on their year 12 and year 10 examination results, but we would like to see 9, 10, 11, and 12. Um, Again, a question about graduate programs, GRE, GM, GMAT required. Um, Again, I think the only program really that would be good would be the data science. So if that does transition to an on-ground program, we'll have a better idea of what the application requirements are going to be for international students. Currently, though, for the online data science that we are offering to domestic American students, they are not requiring the GRE or the GMAT. So if we get the data science masters on ground, it is not likely that they will need to take either the GRE or the GMAT. Okay, does the BS in nursing require maths? I would say it is not a firm requirement, but anyone who is going to be competitive will need to have taken math. Because the nursing program is actually probably one of the most rigorous programs at Truman, and they do take a quite comprehensive course, a lot of maths and a lot of science. So the nursing program, I would believe, would really only be feasible for someone who does have a solid math foundation.
Right. Um, I can take over some of the questions too.
Sure, go for it.
Now that I'm able to see them. So the next question is, what is the turnaround time for the offer and I-20? So that is one of the benefits of, being a partner with Truman is that once your student selects that they are coming from your organization, we typically try to get these applications processed at a higher priority, so a little bit faster than our typical application would be processed. So it's hard to give a specific time. It's usually around a couple of weeks for admission decision to like fully process, and then
I would say 1 week for a
I
partner. Yeah.
I meant like a couple of weeks for the admission decision, and then probably to get the I-20.
Well, it's kind of on you guys. A lot of times our process gets drawn out because students are not submitting completed applications. But if you can get
Yeah.
us a complete application, we could get it, I would say 3 to 7 days, an admissions decision. And once they are confirmed to accept their offer, the I-20 would only take an additional week.
Yeah. So like Kate said, it's just kind of making sure that we have all those documents that we need. So I guess I should say in a perfect world, 2 weeks or less, just depending on
Mhm.
how things play out. What is the I-20 process? So the I-20 process is really just, making sure that we have a complete application. We get an admissions decision. With their admissions decision, there will be a little link at the bottom of that email that they received to say that they've been accepted, and it will ask them to accept their offer of admission. Once they've accepted that, that puts them in our queue, if you will, for the I-20, and that's pretty much it. We make them their I-20 and send it out to them. And that's just about it. They'll use that to schedule their visa appointment, and we wait and see from there. So it's not super complicated on your end. It's just making sure that we're able to have that complete application to administer an admission decision. So the deferral process. So say you've made it all the way through, and you've been accepted and you want to defer. Basically, we have a form that we would send you, international application update form, and they will just say, I want to defer to, we'll say spring or fall, and they'll just give like a little short reason why, unable to get documents in time, or maybe it's a visa situation where the visa's been denied and they want to defer because they're trying again. Whatever it may be, they fill that out and we go ahead and process that deferral request. And if they've not been issued an I-20 already, we'll issue them a new I-20 for the new term, if that makes sense. So the official score reporting, we've talked about home-based tests. So I think like Kate said, there's a couple of home-based tests that we're not really sure about, but I believe Duolingo is a home-based test that we do accept. It's proctored. Pretty sure that they can take that from home. So that shouldn't be an issue, but the other ones, if it's the specific TOEFL test that you were talking about, I think we would have to look into it, like Kate said. Um, Medium instruction we talked about, English proficiencies. What is a GPA requirement for undergraduates? We typically like to see it at about a 3.0 or above, just because Truman can be, our it can be academically rigorous for students, and it's just we want to make sure that students are able to, be successful when they come to Truman and they have a good foundation. And also their scholarships are dependent on that GPA that they get here. So if they, as long as they maintain above a 3.25 while here at Truman, they do get to keep their scholarships. But, if they do fall below that mark, sometimes their scholarship will start to decline. So we want to make sure that they're successful and they're receiving their full support here. So 3 is kind of our baseline for when we're looking at applications. The agent tagging process was that process that I showed you before when we went through the application. There will be that drop-down list of a bunch of different agent names, and yours will be on there very soon. And they will be able to click Leap Cheapy, and that will let us know that they are coming from you. GPA requirements for post-grad, that will be kind of along the same lines as the other answers that Kate's given. Once we know a little bit more about that data science, we'll kind of dig into the nitty-gritty, so to speak, of post-grad requirements. But the next question is the ESL program offered? Yes, we talked about that earlier. I'm not sure when these questions were posted in. I'm so sorry. I was kind of in the presentation, so I was not seeing these pop up. Will it be a conditional I-20? So actually, your I-20 will not come from Truman initially if a student does choose the ESL program. It will come from our partners at TLC, and then it will be like a transfer I-20 over to Truman. So they'll get their I-20 from TLC, and then once they've graduated, TLC will say they're ready, and then we will go ahead and transfer them over, and they will get a new Truman I-20. Okay, I think I got all of those.
Oh, one more.
Yes, there's another couple down here. So
Okay, just
if the
wanted to make sure you
student,
saw those.
yes, if the student is still pursuing the 12th class, can we apply? Absolutely. So as the student at the time of application, we just want all of the academic records that that student has up until that point. So if they've not completed year 12, you can just submit whatever semester grades you have at that time. And we'll work from there. And there are not currently any application fees, so you don't have to worry about that.
Okay, so Gentry does have a short PowerPoint that goes through a little bit more. So I guess maybe she can start that. But again, if more questions come up, just put them in. We'll...
All right. Okay, so we're all able to see this. Great. We are Truman, we know. Let's see if I can get this. Are you guys able to see this slide? Kate, can you tell me?
Yes,
I
we can.
am, yes.
Okay, great. It has taken over my whole Zoom screen now, so I'm unable to see anybody's faces, so thank you. So this is kind of about where Kirksville is located, pretty much right in the middle of the United States. Students can expect to get all 4 seasons while they are here. So sun, snow, and everything in between. These are just a few pictures of campus. The important thing to note on this page specifically is that we do have a flight from Chicago directly to Kirksville. It says 90-minute flight. That's never true. It's usually around 45 to 55 minutes. It's a really short flight, and it's really nice. I've taken it quite a few times. So the students can fly into Chicago and then just get a direct flight straight into the Kirksville airport, or, if they get here and they want to take a little vacation to Chicago, they sure can. So these are just some pictures of Kirksville, some of the things that we, have around here, national parks and some festivals that we put on. This is kind of our downtown area up here in the top left. So currently we have about 3,300 students in total, and we have
Gentry, excuse me, please.
yeah, of course.
Can you maximize your window because my team member are not able to see the uh, slideshow clearly. Thank you.
Oh, it is.
Is it better if I just have it like this, maybe?
I think so.
Does this make it a little bit bigger? Yes, I got a thumbs up from Alicia.
Yeah, looks better. Thank you.
Okay, we'll just keep it like this. It makes it easier for me too, because now I can see everybody's faces. So we'll just leave it in this format. So we have about 3,300 students total in campus, and 280 of those, give or take, is international students. So we have pretty big ratio compared to some of the schools in our league. We have about 47 different countries represented right now, probably over 47. So we've got quite a few countries here on campus. And it makes for a lot of really fun cultural events, which we'll kind of talk a little bit about later. This just kind of talks about the teams that the students will have for support once they get here. We do have about 55 majors, 64 minors. We did get that data science major added, so that is nice to know. These are pre-professional programs. There are kind of pathways that students can take to those professional programs like dental and law and medical. We have about 13 of those. I was trying to edit this yesterday and add environmental science. That is the one that is missing from here, but these are our STEM programs at Truman. Data science being that new one that we were talking about. And all of these STEM programs are eligible for an OPT extension. So typically they will get 2 years or 1 year for OPT, but if they are any of these STEM programs, they are eligible for a 2-year extension, so they'll end up getting 3 years instead. So we have a master's in data science 4+1 program that is available now. And basically, the main takeaway of this is they'll spend 4 years getting their bachelor's, and then they'll spend that extra year to get a master's in data science. So just 5 years to get both of those. And if you want any more super detailed information about this, we can send you a little flyer that we have, or even just the slides if that works for you. We do not have an engineering degree here at Truman, but we do have an engineering pathway with WashU, Washington University over in St. Louis. It's not too far from us. So there are a couple different options for students if they are trying to pursue engineering with this pathway specifically. So the first option being the 3+2. 3 years spent here at Truman. They have to complete the 3 years, and then they will transfer to WashU, and they will spend another 2 years there. So in those 5 years total, they will earn two bachelor's degrees. One from Truman and one from Washington University. The one from Truman will be in physics. So when they come here and they want to do the pathway, they should probably choose physics as their major that they're wanting to pursue, because physics usually gives the best foundation for that engineering degree when they go to transfer their credits over to WashU. The second option is the 4+2. So they will spend their 3 years here at Truman, and they will transfer over to WashU. They will do the 2 years, and again, that will get them their two bachelors. And then they could spend an extra year at WashU, so 6 years total, and they can get two bachelors and one master's for their engineering. So again, we do have a flyer for this. It just gets a little bit more into detail and a couple of PDF documents. So if that's something that you're interested in getting a little bit more specific information on, we can go ahead and send that to you as well.
Yes, please. Thank
Yeah,
you.
of course. We'll get that sent over after the meeting. This was meant for students, so this is just kind of talking about some of the places they could work with the Truman education. These are some of our alumni that just kind of talk about their job experience that they're able to get. Truman students are very employable. The degree that they get is very valued by a lot of their employers. So this is Hila. He's one of our students from Vietnam. He's currently working at Meta, doing some software engineering. The little quote from him. This is Harsh. He is working at Centene Corporation, a Fortune 500 company. He is from Delhi, and he was one of our computer science majors. So he is doing really well now. Let's see. We have Krishna. He is a graduate student currently at in mathematics at Stony Brook University in New York. So he has graduated Truman and moved on to his graduate school and is really successful there. He was great while he was here. He did some promotional things for the office, and he had so many good things to say about what his Truman education has been able to do for him, just to build character and help him go a little bit further, obviously now onto his graduate career. So, and this is Isha. She's from Mumbai. And she's currently working at a hospital in St. Louis as a registered nurse. So she completed our nursing program and was able to find a job pretty quickly afterwards. And like I said, St. Louis is really close to us, and also so is Kansas City and Chicago. So it's really easy to find jobs in those bigger cities surrounding us after our students graduate. This is talking about the career support that we have. So we do have a pretty good comprehensive career support program here at Truman. So they're able to get job search assistance and graduate school prep, helping them practice for any sort of interviews or resume writing. So We do have a career center for that. We also host an international career conference every year. Students can network with other international students and that are in their respective fields, gain some insight, get some pointers and tips from them on how to navigate that job market, and also learn a little bit about OPT. So, campus employment. I'm not sure if everyone is aware of the US guidelines for how many hours a student is supposed to be able to work each week, but it is students are allowed to work on campus, but they cannot work more than 20 hours per week on campus. And that is a federal regulation. So we need to make sure that they are allowed to have jobs, but that they're not exceeding those 20 hours. And that's total for all the jobs that they get. So if someone's working in IT, but they're also working at the library, both of those jobs combined cannot exceed that 20. So life is a bulldog. Bulldog is our mascot. His name is Spike. You can kind of see him everywhere. I do believe this is someone dressed as Spike running through our fountain. Where we do have lots of different clubs and organizations here at Truman. Some are cultural, some are sports related, some are language based. So there's lots of different things for students to get involved in. To enhance their experience while they're here. And
One thing I'd like to mention is we are a lot of our South Asian students, they've been very active on campus.
oh yeah.
So they recently last year started the South Asian Student Union. So that's kind of a big group where a lot of our Pakistani students and Nepali students and Bengali students and Indian students are kind of coming together. They did a really nice event last April where they called it like a mock shadi. And so one of our Indian students had like a fake wedding to one of our Bengali students so that everyone could sort of see the traditional wedding dress, the traditional wedding customs, the traditional wedding foods. We had the tickets sold out really fast. A lot of people wanted to come. It was really, really fun. And they've been doing a lot to kind of make their mark on campus. They started a cricket team. We played our first match against the University of Missouri and we won. So that was really fun as well. So just wanted to chime in with that.
Yeah.
Those are a few things that a lot of our Indian students are very active in.
Yeah, like that's a great point to bring up is, that club is or that organization is fairly new. And so if students are unable to find a place here, which is hard with all of the different outlets that we have, they can simply create one. So if there is a community that they feel like needs to be built up or represented more, they can simply do that. And we highly encourage it because that's how we end up getting those awesome events like Kate was talking about with the mock wedding. It was really beautiful. They had some performances and I saw lots of pictures and videos from it. So we do have something new, relatively new. Back in 2022, we did get an esports team. This tends to be popular with some of our boys, but they are able to compete in gaming. Or they can just use our esports gaming facility on campus to play if they'd like. We also have some more academically based clubs as well, clubs and organizations. So we do have the Bulldog Bike competition that some of our business majors will participate in. They will pitch their business ideas and they get judged. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with Shark Tank, but it's kind of a similar sort of pitch. So these are our finalists from this year, most of which were actually international students. So they are crushing it. But we do have a lot more academic-based clubs too. We have something called the Student Activities Board. We just call it the SAB for short. They're in charge of student activities, obviously, and they will try to invite like a celebrity or arrange some sort of fun event or concert on campus every year. So we've had a few celebrities come and do comedy shows, concerts, or just kind of give a speech, hang out with the students. So We try to do one big event at least every year. These are our campus resources. We have the gym that's open to all of the students. We do have a pool that's open at certain times. And lots of different teams will use these, will check out these areas. So like they just have to, sorry, my screen messed up for a second. My bad. It like flashed. I'm sorry. Um, as I was saying, they can use the gym with their student IDs. We do have our dining halls on campus. We do have a couple of cafes as well. So there is a Starbucks located here in our library, the Career Center. So we could talk all day about the resources, but if you wanted more specific information about any of these, again, we can send you more specific information. These are our 6 dorms. We do have one pet-friendly dorm here at Truman. So if anyone's traveling with pets or wants to get one while they're here, it's not super common, but they can do that. So we do have a question that is relevant. Is the housing on campus mandatory for students? For first-year students, it is. For our first-year freshmen, so their first semester, they will have to stay, or the first year, they will have to stay on campus. But after that, they are more than welcome to move off campus. We have some really affordable housing here in Kirksville, so it's usually most of our students will move off campus during their second year, and it's a good way to save some money, get an apartment with friends. But yeah, that first year it is required. All right, these are our costs. So to break it down, our average tuition with the scholarships in mind, our average scholarships range anywhere from like around 7 to 11,000 typically, and that just so happens to be the range for our average cost of tuition after we take those scholarships out. So our average annual tuition, as you can see, that's $7,000 to $11,000. So that brings the total cost of attendance with those average scholarships subtracted to about that 19,300 to about the 26,400 range. So there is that little disclaimer at the bottom that it includes tuition, fees, housing, meals, insurance, books and one-time orientation fees, immunization costs. And this cost of attendance will vary depending on the amount and the choice of on-campus and off-campus housing over 4 years. That's a mouthful. Essentially, what it's saying is that cost you see on screen includes everything and will vary depending on the housing options that they choose throughout the year. So if they choose to move off campus their second year, that price is going to drop significantly down to the lower end of that figure because housing is so affordable here in Kirksville. So that's kind of what that long snippet is about. And we talked a little bit about this earlier. This is typically intended for students, so this part's not the most important, but getting to Kirksville, there's multiple different options. They can take that flight to Chicago and then fly directly into Kirksville, or from Chicago, they can, there's a train, I believe, that comes all the way here. It takes a while, so typically students will just take the flight in, but if anything were to happen, there is always a train as a backup. They can, if they do take the train, it comes into a little town near us called La Plata. It's about 10 minutes away, and we will usually have a shuttle that goes out there and picks the students up on arrival days. That shuttle also goes out to the Kirksville Airport and will pick students up, and that's anytime. The students can also fly into Kansas City, and we offer 2 shuttles to Kansas City, one on the first arrival day and one on the second arrival day. And those are the only times that we can offer those, as it is a little bit farther away. So the students will just need to make sure that their flight plans align with that. Yeah, I think that pretty well covers it. So see, we have a couple of questions pop in. What scholarships can the student expect? So it is about in that range that I was talking about down here at this page. That $7,000 to $11,000 is like our typical range. So if you want to shoot middle ground, it's probably like 8,000 or 9,000 for middle ground. And they are not, I wouldn't say they're guaranteed. It says 90% of our international students receive scholarships, but it's typically more than 90%. And it really just depends on their academics and their English scores, and if they have any additional, like the SAT, like I said, can sometimes boost that scholarship a little bit. So it really just depends on a factor of things. So it's hard to give like one specific number to look for.
But almost everyone who is accepted will get a
Yeah.
scholarship.
Yeah, I don't.
And yeah, the scholarships are very rarely less than $7,000.
Oh yeah.
So we are at the end of the day, we are one of the most affordable options for students that are looking for a high quality education. So not guaranteed, but extremely likely to get a good scholarship.
Yep, that is a good way to word it. So I am done with the presenting part. So if anyone has any questions,
I do think there are a couple more from Avisha. Yeah, are there application fees? No, completely free to apply. So no need to worry about that. Um, as well as what are the application deadlines and intakes? So we do have two intakes for the year. The fall intake starts in mid-August, and the spring intake will start in mid-January. You will see on our website that we do have an application deadline posted, but in practice for our partners, we practice rolling admissions. So as long as they have sufficient time to get a visa and to arrive in the United States, we are happy to consider their application. We do recommend getting an early start. I think our posted deadline for the spring term, for example, is October 15th. That's our recommended application deadline, but that is actually very soft, very flexible. So if you have any students that are interested at any point during the year, please just reach out to us. And as long as we feel that they have sufficient time to come to the US, we will consider those applications. Um, okay, so I think those were all of Avisha's questions. But yeah, if there's anything else. Okay, well,
great.
I guess we can wrap it up then. Um,
Yes, Catherine. Thank you so much, Gentry and Catherine. Thank you so much for the wonderful session. Please do share the presentation and the fact sheets with us.
Yeah, of
absolutely.
course, we'll
And
get these
also,
sent
I
over.
have sent you a survey form. I request you to please fill that and send us.
We will send you a follow-up. So yes, thank you for all of your team showing up today. We will be in touch with the follow-up information and we look forward to working with you going forward.
Yeah, thank you guys. I know that it's
Thank you
evening
so
over
much.
here, so yes, I appreciate you all showing up, and yeah, we look forward to working with you.
All right. Have a good
Thank
evening.
you.
Bye.
Bye.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Bye.